Okay, so day one, activism. I'm a bit late. I was up 4 o'clock because of baby, and so I'm just trying to now find the Extinction Rebellion groups. I don't really know what I'm going to find, to be honest. It could be 10 people, could be 100. They could be really pissing drivers off, which is obviously a given. Okay, so I'm approaching Westminster now. Traffic's pressing back quite a fair distance, maybe 400 metres, so here's hoping that I get some eyes on soon. Okay, I'm gonna go, oh god, I'm gonna get run over by a car. Would that be ironic? I suppose it would be. Okay, I'm further along now. There's definitely something going on. Yeah, I can see people in high-vis jackets, potential. Yeah, no, I've come to the right place, I think. I mean, I knew I had. Right, I've made it to Parliament Square, and I can't find anyone. My hopes about the groups turned out to be Asian tourists. So this is a lesson in activism, is if they set a time, try and be on time, because otherwise you might miss the first fun. Not that this is fun, I'm excited because I feel like I'm doing something with meaning, but we shouldn't forget the fact that it's being done in the name of something that threatens every single living thing on this planet. Now walking across Westminster Bridge, as you can see, pretty empty, but I think it's because they've blocked the road up there rather than because I'm in the right place finally. There's a few buses going across and a few taxis, and imagine how pleasant London would be if you only had buses and taxis. Obviously electric, green. Just imagine how much better the air quality would be. I'll tell you what, I'm approaching Elephant and Castle now, and the traffic is horrific. So I don't know whether this is the makings of Extinction Rebellion, or whether this is just a normal Wednesday morning in London. And if it is a normal Wednesday morning in London, then, to be honest, we don't have to be out blocking the streets because the cars are blocking them already. It's absolutely chock-a-block, but I do have a feeling that it will be the fault of the blockades. And obviously there's a big conundrum here, because in blocking the streets you increase the levels of NO2 and you increase diesel emissions or petrol emissions, so there's no kind of pretending that this is not going to make it worse in the short term if we do block streets every day, let's say. But in the long run, maybe it will get through to the government that it's unsustainable in every single way. So obviously there's a bit of an irony here in that in blocking the streets you actually make the situation worse, but it's for the idea of making it better in the longer term. So I've just set up shop near, coming up to Elephant and Castle, and it's almost like the beginnings of the Italian Job, when you know, they blockade and cause chaos in the streets. And again, I don't know whether this is definitely the area in which they were planning to blockade, but even if they are doing it on one street, it's such a busy junction that any kind of disruption is obviously going to have some kind of knock-on effect on the rest of London traffic. Also, thinking about the disruption and the inconvenience that naturally this causes people when they're out and about driving. I, for one, am a driver, and I hate being stuck in traffic. But you know, you get over it and it passes, and it's not forever. But the irreversible effects of climate change that we're facing, that 99.9% of the scientific community agree is going to happen, will inconvenience us forever. So I'm approaching Elephant and Castle now, and one particular road feels a bit like 28 days later, if it weren't for the 5 red buses I can see right ahead of me, and the multiple people pushing prams, and so there is population here, there is life, so it's not 28 days later. But it does seem that I might have finally stumbled across an epicenter of this movement and this fight for control over our destiny. So I've lived around this area before, and I know that it doesn't always seem this busy and chock-a-block, so something is afoot. which is exciting because it means that, you know, people have actually come out and done what they said they were going to do. And I can see just ahead of me, I can actually see Activision, what is it? Extinction Rebellion right ahead of me, and I'm just going to go and talk to someone and see what they've got to say. What's your name then?
Phil Kingston.
Phil Kingston. And what brings you out here today?
Well, I'm part of the Rebellion Extinction concern. I got 4 grandchildren, hugely upset and disturbed about their futures.
So more students have turned up now. So there's obviously some local universities here, and they're on their lunch break, perhaps. Or I spoke to one of them and said they do photography. So if anything, like my university, they don't have that many contact hours, I bet. So enough time on your hands to come and do a bit of activism. And one thing that's striking me here today is the kind of tone of the whole thing. It's very friendly, it's purposeful, but it's not in your face, and it's not aggressive. It's just a fact of life now that climate change is happening, and so you don't really have to do much persuasion in that point. It's just a question of getting more people actively changing their lifestyles so that we can affect positive change in this regard. So just chatted to a new mum, relatively new, looked like it from the size of the baby, and I think I persuaded her to come over. It's not a hard sell, is it? Extinction Rebellion as a movement to young parents, new mothers, etc., new fathers, because at the end of the day, we'll be dead before our children, hopefully. So it's for them.
Right, we're going to go back in the road again.
Bless you, little youngster. May life be good to you.
Well, I hope so.
Take care.
I've actually now come out into the road, oh my god, committing an act of civil disobedience, technically breaking the law, blocking obstruction of a highway, though one very intelligent young man actually said that the maximum fine, I think, is about £50, so I think I should be okay. It's also a great advert for cycling, because, you know, if you're a cyclist, you wouldn't have these problems. So Cycle for London should really get here and promote cycling, because cyclists will just be laughing right now. Part of the tactic is that they go onto the road, block it for about 7 minutes, and then come off and let the front drivers go, so that there is a kind of flow to the traffic, even though I saw earlier when I was walking in, it does really have a massive impact. So I don't know what the government are going to do about this, because this can't, you know, they've got to take action essentially, and this is what the group's all about. It's about trying to make the government take action. And about declaring a climate emergency. Directive 1, hello, hi.
Hey.
What's your name?
I'm Joe.
Joe,
Yes,
nice to meet you.
what's your name?
I'm Jake.
Jake, good
Lovely
to meet you.
Oh, hi, yes.
Sweet,
Great.
welcome to the Extinction Rebellion.
Oh yes, I know, I'm very excited. This is my first day being an activist, so
Sweet.
also basically the first time using the camera, so I'm a bit shaky
nice.
there.
We've got a steady cam there.
But we're in the light here, which is great.
Yeah.
So what are the directives then?
Well, the first demand is probably the one that we need to focus on the most, and that's just getting the government to declare a climate emergency.
Okay.
And like, it sounds pretty drastic, but it's been done before. We did it just after the World Wars, when resources were like nil and manpower was down. So they declared an emergency. They got people collaborating on like a sort of local level. So our first demand is a climate emergency. Tell the truth to the people and work with the media to sort of disseminate that message of how severe the impacts of climate change are that's coming.
Right, great. Well, that sounds like an awesome mission. So let's hope our actions they implement that.
Yeah,
awesome. Love to meet you, Joe.
Great to meet
yes,
you.
great. So I think it's fair to say some people are getting pissed off, which I get as well. It is an inconvenience, but imagine how inconvenient it will be when our kids and their kids don't have enough food to eat. So I think a small inconvenience now is what is needed to get people behind action on climate change. I mean, it's getting really gridlocked here now, and understandably people are pissed off, but as we can see, ambulances still able to get through, so there's no risk to life, other than the fact that I'm maybe breathing a bit too much NO2. I tell you what has been amazing today has been the police. They've been here, as far as I'm aware, from the get-go. They've been facilitating a peaceful process. Obviously, tensions run high in traffic, and you know, we wouldn't really be able to be doing this without them. So we're so lucky to live in a country where we're able to protest and able to peacefully proclaim our views. and I think we should really hold on to that. And that's the hope, really, isn't it? The hope that we, through peaceful protest, cause enough of a disruption to enable change, because that's what we've got to do.
We're going to be back here again at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock here tomorrow for anyone that wants to join tomorrow, and 7 o'clock again on Friday, and then on Saturday at 10 o'clock in Parliament Square. So please come and give us your contact if you haven't got it. But thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.